Now, we can call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval.
Move to approve.
Report.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Review and approve minutes. They look good to me.
Move to approve.
Support.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Review and approve bills. Accounts payable dated May 15th for $128,028.58. EFTs for $86,408.08 for a total of $214,436.66.
Move to approve. Support.
You want all things working on that?
Please. Already did.
That's all pretty much good, except for the last page.
You've got mail.
Should we get a post-accident drug test? Can we get the results on that?
Yeah, that was negative.
What's the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission for $7,300?
That's the final, bill for the nuke gauge that we turned back in.
Why did we get charged for turning back a nuke gauge?
Well,
That
for
kind
one,
of
it
money.
costs money to get rid of it, but that's the annual contract for up to that point. It's over like 10,000 something for the year,
Okay.
and so it's prorated to when we turned it in. That's how much.
So that's how much
The annual
it was
cost.
costing us $10,000 to keep the gauge on present
That's
or on location.
annually.
Okay, so that's just a proration
Yes.
because we turned it in early. Okay, not a fee for turning it in per se.
No, it's actually prorated.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense to me.
Where are we in hauling limestone with Ben Front? In terms of pretty much done or not quite yet? Or
Not quite yet. No, we're still.
we got some to haul?
Any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion.
I think that one looks like we're good.
Okay. payroll dated May 22nd for $121,221.58.
I move we approve the payroll.
Or,
Any discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I assume so.
I figured out.
Before each one of these, can you make a quick trip out just to make sure there's nothing?
Treasurer's report.
Beginning cash and investment balance is $2,831,163.22. Total receipts are 0. Total disbursements is $335,658.24. Bonds in escrow is $10,250. CD reserved for 2 trucks is $677,819.50. The ending available fund balance is $1,807,435.48. Outstanding accounts payable, we have a credit of $1,211.12.
Any questions? If not, stands as presented. Thank you. All right. We'll close. One.
You wanna wait to 10:15, do some public comment first, or?
Yeah, we can
how
do
you
a little
wanna-
bit. You got 5 minutes, 6 minutes, yeah. Public comment. Anybody?
Yeah, I got one. Was here earlier this year, kind of wondering how we're doing with our collective bargaining agreement. We're working on 6 months now. Typically, when it gets that hard and that long, these employees start to get a little bit bitter. I know that we've had more litigation, legal litigation, state of Michigan litigation in the last probably 2 years, the last 2 contracts, than we've had in 32 years that I've been here. And we've spent more money in lawyers and all that stuff since I've been here. I know that this work agreement might need to have some work, but as rewriting it might not have a lot of value. If we were gonna rewrite the whole work agreement, then we probably should have started 6 months before, instead of waiting until 6 months after it's expired. So I'm really concerned about our work agreement. Another thing is, thank you for the work. You know, the morale's shit over there because we don't have a work agreement, and I'm gonna tell you that. But we're gonna do the best we can to keep up with the work. And I'll make sure that they pull their weight too, from my perspective. But I also would like you guys to be aware that these employees that are on this work agreement are the gateway to your positions. These employees vote, or asked to vote for you guys. I would think that it would be a good idea to keep these guys in thought when you're bargaining this contract. I don't know what it is, I have not a clue what the stumbling block is. But I am concerned about the length of it. One more thing, while I'm there. I know we're supposed to be getting this bid for mowers, and I know I haven't showed you. This is on 106, coming back from a training session. So when this happens, I know it's a contractor. Is the county road gonna be blamed for that? Our mower guys? I mean, I'm just asking. I forgot to ask you that.
I mean, if it's a contract, it's a contract.
Well, it's pretty sloppy,
I'll agree with that,
so.
but that's
And I
also
would
a
make
state,
sure
that's
that the
also a
board's
state highway.
at the time. Yes. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Anybody else? 4 minutes left. All right.
Which one we get? So we have nothing on the increase? While we're here.
Okay, 10:15. Corrugated steel pipe bid opening.
All right, looks like we've got 3 bids to open. The first one is from Cadillac Culvert. Okay, so they filled in all the, can we just read them off to you, or is this gonna take a little bit? Start with culverts, 12-inch. 16 gauge is $7.35. 15-inch is $9.30. 18-inch is $11.24. 24-inch is $19.26. 30-inch is $24.44. 36 is $31 even. 42-inch is $37.60. 48-inch is $58 even. On the collars, all of them down to the 48-inch are all 18 gauge. The 48-inch is 16 gauge. Then for the 12-inch collar, on I guess they added in on the other side of it also width of it too, so the 12-inch 18 gauge is $12.86, with a 12-inch width. The 15-inch is 18 gauge, $16.28 with a 12-inch width. 18-inch is 18 gauge, $19.67 for the 12-inch. The 24-inch is 18 gauge, $25.90 for the 12-inch. The 30-inch is 18 gauge, $48.88, and that's a 24-inch width. All of them, the remainder of them will be 24-inch width. The 36 gauge is 18 gauge at $62 even, 24. The 42 inch is 18 gauge, $75.20, the 24-inch width. And the 48 inch is 16 gauge, $116 even, 24-inch width. And then the end sections, the 12-inch diameter is $55, the 15 inch is $65, 18 inch is $75, and 24 inch is $120. Bid prices are firm through 8/1 of 25. Less than a truckload of freight may apply. And that's their bid.
So a full truckload, there will be no freight additional.
Well, it just has for other information, less than truckload freight may apply. So that's where I take it. Alright, the next one is from St. Regis. Starting on the culverts again, 12 inch is $8.60. 15 inch is $10.32. 18 inch is $12.90. 24 inch is $20.65. 30 inch is $26.10. 36 inch is $31.68. 42 inch is $40.32. 48 inch is $63.05. For the collars, all of them are shown at 16 gauge. For the first four, 12, 15, 18, and 24 are 1 foot or 12 inch width. The remaining four are 24 inch width. For the 12 inch collar is $14.50. A 15 inch is $17.10. 18 inch is $21.45. 24 inch is $34.65. 30 inch is $58.75. 36 inch is $72 even. 42 inch is $80.64. And 48 inch is $126.10. For the end sections, the 12 inch is $65. 15 is $90. 18 inch is $125. And the 24 inch is $160. The bid price is firm for 30 days. Exception to the bid, $75 minimum to include delivery. And that is their bid. The last one is Jensen Bridge. All right, 12-inch culvert is $7.25. 15-inch is $8.98. 18-inch is $11.15. 24-inch is $18.55. 30-inch is $24.79. 36-inch is $27.90. 42-inch is $34.24. And 48-inch is $54 even. On the collars, all the gauges are 18 except for the last one is 16 gauge for the 48-inch. For the 12-inch is $14.50. 15-inch is $17.96. 18-inch is $22.30. 24-inch is $37.10. 30-inch is $49.58. 36-inch is $55.80. 42-inch is $68.48. And then the 48-inch, like I said, is 16 gauge at $108 even. For the end sections, the 12-inch is $48 even. The 15-inch is $62. 18-inch is $73. 24-inch is $110. The bid price is firm through July 1st, 2025. And then no delivery charge or minimum as far as the other information. I believe this one, they've always included the delivery in their cost. Oh, okay. 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 So there is a lot of variance in all these according, of course. The thing that's probably needs to stand out the most is the culverts, because they go in the linear foot. The others are individual items. So
You want us to award this?
what's that?
You want us to award this bid now?
I would recommend Jensen Bridge.
Or,
So you're saying that the culvert prices, when it's a 12-inch culvert and it was $7.35, that's $7.35 a foot?
A foot.
Okay, that's, I was
And
curious.
so normally we'll get them in 20, 24 foot
Yep.
links, and so that makes up a huge difference.
Sure.
Where if there's a cost difference in the collars and the end section, that's a unit
Yeah,
price.
one unit, yeah.
I got a support, but I didn't get a motion.
I'll move to adopt Jensen Bridge and Supplies bid.
Is that who we used last year?
Yes. Right? I didn't think so. I think last year you might have done it in the best interest of the county for all of them,
Okay, could have.
so.
Depending
You
on-
can do it again, but the lower bid and not having a delivery.
Well, they're consistently lower.
Yep.
Is what it looks like to me.
There were a few items where Cadillac is a little lower. But
But like I said, I think those are in the one each items.
well, the 36-inch culvert, for example, Cadillac was 2444, Jensen was 2790.
Okay.
But then on the 48 inchers, Cadillac was 58 and Jensen was 54. So there was a little back and forth. But I think in general, Jensen's bid is probably lower than Cadillac.
I would agree.
Any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Can you sign that, please?
Let's see. And this is almost time for the moment. I'll do one more check. I don't think there'll be as many items to read off of these, so.
The different size culverts. One more.
Hey, we actually got one, huh?
Oh, for concrete, okay,
I was getting scared there.
yeah.
You don't want to mix concrete?
No, especially not out there.
That one side of the road.
Okay.
All right, so these are gonna be for the roadside mowing. We've got 4 bids to open. The first one is Jablonski and Sons. All right, price per centerline mile for the bid specs is $61.90. Alternate bid price of $118 per centerline mile for a disc mower capable of mowing up to 3-inch woody sprouts. They list a couple different tractors, a John Deere, they're both John Deere's, a 6140M and a 7320, both with disc mowers as their equipment they'll be using. They list as references Allegheny County Road Commission, Ionia County Road Commission, and Eaton County Road Commission, St. Joseph, Cass, Newego, references. The next one is TMPS. The company. All right, so. All right, for the price per center line mile per bid spec is $15. The alternate price is $16 per center line mile with the more capable of going up to the 3-inch weighty sprouts.
Did you say $15 and $16?
That's what it says.
No way.
Wow.
So are they using a yard man or?
No, let's see here. It shows a M6 Kubota tractor, 120 horse. '86-inch heavy duty flail mower. A lot of roads to cover with that.
Yeah.
Any references?
No. And I don't believe we necessarily had that in the bid, the other one just checked that. Wow. That's,
Don't seem right.
It's not.
They're gonna live in bread and water for what?
Let's clarify what a center line mile is. Is that both sides of the road or
Yes,
that's one side?
both sides of the road.
Okay, that's the first thing I wanna know, so,
Otherwise, it'd be lane mile or center line mile.
okay.
Okay. The next one is from Baxter Lawn and Snow. All right, for the price for centerline mile per bid spec is $70. The alternate price for the being able to mow up to the 3-inch woody sprouts is $140. They're showing three mowers plus one boom mower. A combination of a Kubota, a Case, Bobcat for the different style mowers. Forestry head and a flail boom mower.
Did they give any references?
No. Like I said, we didn't ask for that, and so if I see them, I will let you know. And the last one is from Wolf Creek. A whole bit back. So for centerline mile per bid specs is $76 centerline mile, and not applicable for the 3-inch woody sprouts.
They didn't even bid.
No, I believe they strictly do what would be the first cut grass. They don't do brush or.
Okay.
They've got 9 different tractors with an assortment of different
Attachments.
mowers. Everything from a batwing to a rotary disc to, they do have a 60-inch boom mower with a 20-foot reach, but I don't know why they put it in unless they don't charge anything else for that, I don't know. References with the Ottawa County Road Commission, Clinton County Road Commission, Antrim County, Shiawassee County, and Jackson County. Everything from 500 or 468 miles up to 1,316 miles in Jackson. That's what they cover. So that's that.
So I have a question. Is our plan to contract out all of the mowing or only a certain portion of it? So what's the thought there?
So our intent is, with this, is to do all of the first cut, which what I call the first cut. It's just that first, I think the bid spec calls for however many feet from the edge of the road. And then at a sign, that's basically like a double cut, 150 feet in front of the sign and the clear vision on the intersection. And so that's to go around and cut everything once. Depending on because this is the first time we've done it, depending on what the cost came in, we were debating on whether we do 1 or 2 cuttings. So that's still, we'd have to talk about that. And then our crews would still be out there with the swing arm mowers and stuff, doing the brush, doing the second cut and the third cut to help do that. But this is the intent, is to get all the grass cutting done once, if not twice a year, quickly.
On a more timely basis.
Yes. It takes us all year to mow
Yeah.
1 cutting of grass, with what we have. So this is just to augment. We still have the seasonal employees that we hired that run the boom mowers and that kind of stuff. Or a specific, if they might be mowing in Camden Township and we get a complaint for up in Somerset Township, we'll send our guys to do those complaints to do that. But that's the intent.
How many line miles are we mowing?
1,200
Just over 1,200.
the exact amount here.
Both the pins and the gravels.
All right, so just over 1,100 miles per cycle. So if we did one now, one in the fall.
So how quickly are they gonna get it done? By June 1st?
Now, I believe we said that they had to start by June 20th, is what was in here.
And be done by when?
That's what we have to talk with them and see. It depends on how much equipment the company has, how many people they have, and how quick they think they can get it done.
Grass is gonna be pretty big by June 20th.
Yeah,
It always is. I mean,
there,
we can't even get to it that quick, so.
isn't there, if there's any way we can start before then?
That was a mandatory, they had to do by then. We'll have to sit down with the contractor and go through everything that gets awarded and they can start as soon as we get that worked out, as far as I'm concerned.
So with our own mowers, why wouldn't we start before June 20th?
We have been out, but,
Okay,
I mean, right now, they're kind of taking care of brush and stuff, because the grass isn't that high yet, but
okay.
Our mowers are currently all ready to go, we just don't have operators for them. They're all staged out back and ready to go.
So we haven't hired anybody to operate them yet?
the seasonal's not bad. They're actually start next week, I believe, we just did all the interviews and have the paperwork done, so. We can only keep them for up to 6 months, so,
So that was the time frame you thought correct, given that we can only keep them 6 months, and I'm assuming that has to do with ESTA or something?
now it's the contract.
It's the contract, okay. So they're gonna start May 27th? Isn't that next week?
Our,
Yes,
Seasonal?
okay, yeah.
as soon as, I think they'll all get their drug test and that kind of stuff. As soon as that comes back, they'll all start.
So I have a question about this low bid. I mean, it's not even in the ballpark with the other three.
I would agree. I'm not sure where that's even.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
In the contract, did we define what a center line mile was? I mean, cause if you doubled it, it'd be $60 a mile. Or, excuse me, it'd still only be $30 a mile.
But
Still less than half of any of the other bids.
I don't
yeah,
think.
I don't know if we can consider that a valid bid.
I don't think they can get it on a trailer for $15.
My comment was they're gonna live on bread and water.
Apparently.
Well, from what Bob described, he's only got one piece of equipment, so.
I think they didn't understand what this entailed, even though it's specified how many miles of road and everything, but. So I would personally say that one needs to be disregarded.
I'd say so.
So we're down to the others.
Did that first one have references?
Yes.
Jeff, is that the counties, he had all counties? Oh,
Yeah.
he was the one, okay.
Allegan was one of them.
Yeah.
I think, was Cass one of
Yeah.
them as well?
He had quite a few of them.
Yeah, two.
And the first one, the alternate price was $118 for one,
Yes.
yes. And we don't really expect to use the alternate?
Probably not, unless for some reason all of ours go down and we need something, but I don't foresee that happening.
Well, because I guess on the Wolf Creek, if after making some inquiries, their alternate price was the same as their center line mile price, and we planned on doing that, then it would make some sense maybe to go that route. But again, there's ifs involved there, and if we don't really plan on doing the alternate, then that really doesn't need to be considered.
I wouldn't see that happening that much.
Well, from a safety standpoint and people complaining, we need to get at it as fast as we can.
Exactly,
And
especially at intersections.
Correct.
so if these places also mow other counties, do they have availability for ours, and will they have enough equipment? I mean, that, cause I don't remember how many mowers Joe had.
He had two that he listed.
So if he
I
doesn't.
do know probably, except for the TMPS, I believe they probably all have sufficient equipment. If that's what they're dedicating to us.
Yeah, that might be what he's doing.
So that's what the bid is the dedicated mowers for us?
Yes.
Okay, not that, that's how many mowers they have in total. Alright, that makes most of more sense. So if Joe only has 2 mowers dedicated to us, if we had 3 move in and we couldn't even get the first cutting done very quickly, is that gonna be enough time?
They cut a lot quicker.
He's got
All
this,
these mowers,
Okay,
you've got disc mowers. and
they can, that's why some of them, like you probably didn't bid the shoots, because they don't, if they have a disc vine mower, and they hit something, you can destroy it real quick. So they go around a lot of like the dead limbs that are laying there, any, saplings or something that are there, but they go probably twice as quick as what our guys can go.
okay.
And just because of the type of mowers that they normally use.
You probably have a disc mower, Mark, that you used to cut hay. And you can move a whole lot faster than it did with an old cinder arm.
A rabbit has trouble outrunning me.
Perhaps wasn't mowed real great, but it.
No, I get all I can.
Are we gonna have a motion on that? If we got another opening.
I move that we accept Joe Jablonski's bid for mowing.
Taking the reference that, there's only one local bid. We look at that at all, or?
Yeah. Joe's quite a little bit cheaper.
That's quite a bit.
77,000 versus I think 68,000 on 1,100 miles of road.
That's what I come up with.
Let me ask a question here for thought. That, I'd be willing to make an amendment to the motion that in the event Jablonski can't perform, that we name Baxter as the backup bidder.
No, I'd accept that amendment.
I could go with that, yeah.
Any more discussion?
Yes, so we think that we have in our budget enough money to have the first cut done. What were you expecting? Did it come in under our expectations? I guess we'll just leave it at that.
Right at it, probably some of them are over, some of them are under.
Okay.
I expect it to be right around the 70-ish, maybe
Okay.
75.
I
Okay.
think if we take into consideration fuel, maintenance, labor, I think we'd be over that.
Okay.
Oh, we definitely spend more than that mowing
There's a lot
ourselves.
of breakdowns in those mowers.
And then Wolf Creek, they do Jackson County?
Yes.
So you have experience with them?
Yes.
Would there be any reason to consider them based on your experience with them?
Over anybody else, probably not. I mean, they do a good job.
Good.
And then but I also know Jablonski used to mow them in the years past. I've had experience with them too. I know that they both do a good job. So those are the only two I have personal experience with, but I wouldn't disqualify or overqualify one over the other.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to do Joe
With Baxter as a
with
backup.
Baxter's backup. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now, we'll go right into tree removal and trimming. Stump removal.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Need anything, give us a shout. Thank you, guys.
All right, so for the tree removal and trimming, we have one bid.
One bid.
That's from Top Tree.
And where?
What was it?
Top Tree.
That's not even.
Top notch there?
That's it.
We've got a top notch.
When I open up the envelope, written on it, just says Top Tree.
Let's see what.
Let's see, maybe we'll have to add somebody else in there.
Those are just the ones we know we sent them to.
Right.
They went out to Midas and all this other stuff too, and so we get. Alright. Chop Tree. WeChop.com.
Reach.
So this is It's not even listed here, right?
We just have to add them on.
Right. Chop tree,
We chop.
We chop.
we chop tree.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like that. I guess it's called chop, but the thing is weed-chop.com.
Okay.
Alright. Alright. So this is the list of their equipment that they have available. Everything from the feller himself to loaders, bucket trucks, log trucks, skid steers, chippers, stump grinders. They've got a pretty good fleet, I guess. So some of their references, they've got Aero Communications, in Canton, City of Ecorse, City of Wyoming, City of Dearborn, City of Register Hills, City of Fenton. And then a couple of brush brain companies that they work for. Okay, so for the tree removal services hourly base rate, that's stated as stated in section 1.5, that's a 5-man crew, the equipment, is $288.27 an hour. Extra crew member hourly rate per crew member is $36 an hour. Extra overhead crane with operator with a reach of 100 to 140 feet is $375 an hour. A stump grinder including operator is $105.83. And the cleanup of wood chips after stumps ground, topsoil, seed, says with a dingo utility loader, including truck and trailer and operator, is $88.83 an hour. And so basically what we're looking for is, we got a lot of tree requests and complaints that are hanging out there that we can't get to all the time. We'll still take care of the hangers and emergencies and all that with our stuff. But this is to try to get some of those requests taken care of. And even if we've got a long stretch of road, we could possibly set them on a road and just go down and trim. They can do some other cutting that necessarily we can't do during the summertime for oak wilt and bats and you name it. They would be required to seal any wounds on an oak tree and follow any the guidelines that Eagle/DNR put out. So they could take down per se a danger tree or something a lot easier than we could. They can deal with anything that's around power lines. We don't have our guys do anything around power lines anyway. So that's the intent. So this isn't a everyday, 10 hours a day type of thing. It's like we're gonna have to schedule them and get them where we want them to go.
Pick out a bunch of trees and let them.
Where are they located?
They are out of Grand Rapids.
The problem is that Consumers Energy's got all the other.
They do have a lot of them. You are not gonna get Wrights or Ashland.
Davy or.
So that's
So
the
they-
one and only bit.
They feel that they can come down here 2 hours away
Yeah, we would schedule them for like either whole days or maybe a whole week to say, we want this stretch of road or this, and this done. To make it, you gotta make it worth their while too to come down, so.
Right. You wouldn't have them come down to take down one or two
No.
trees.
No, that we can still do with our equipment.
So do we have a figure in mind of what we want to budget for this type of process? I mean, because I would think we would have to have an idea of what we can afford before we start scheduling them.
We basically talked about in the 30,000 range. And I think if we get to that, I'm not sure if we'll even get to that, but we'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
That would take care of a few trees.
And we are still, not into this bid, but we are still looking to try to get a different high reach to replace the aged one that we have. But that's still to chase after those hangers and storm damage and, you know, emergency things, so.
Are we gonna try to get more bids, or is this something we wanna do?
It was advertised, and that's all that's submitted, so I would say, if you would like, that would be the one and only bid that we have, and we'll see how that goes. To me, I would recommend that we go with our, for this year's tree cutting.
So moved.
No support.
Any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Oh,
Oh,
I would have some discussion. I was doing my math. That only gives us 13 days, just on the
Solid
5-man crew.
days.
8-hour days.
Yes.
How many trees can you remove in 13 days?
whole lot.
Huh.
If you pick out an area that has a bunch of dead trees.
And some of it could actually be on the township contracts, where that's part of the contract. Getting paid for that too, so.
Well, my thought is if for 13 days, if they're not, for a whole day, if they're not in the same area, you're gonna be spending a whole lot of money for them to travel from one place to the next.
Well, that's where we scheduled that, is where we wanted to go. We got tons of tree requests.
13 days isn't one day in each township, if you look at it that way
I know,
either.
but
So, all right,
if we can go more than that, great.
Right.
But I don't wanna,
right,
Overdue.
okay. All right.
This,
if you tell me I go crazy, I'll get them all done.
my observation is, you know, this is something we've not done before, sort of a trial
Right.
situation, but I think we have to try something because
Right.
there's a lot of trees out there that we're not gonna get to on our own.
A lot of dead trees.
If we get to that amount, maybe, you know, come back and say we'd like to do this amount, you know, see how quick they actually do get the trees down.
Okay,
But it's really just scheduling is gonna get your best bang for your buck.
right. And it gives us an option to use them to see how it works,
Yeah.
with a budget cap as to how much we're gonna spend.
And I'm sure there's a lot of forestry units that are in the north.
All right, now they all are. That's-
Okay. 11 o'clock bid opening.
All right.
M99 big.
We didn't vote on this motion.
Well, I think they did
We
vote
already
before my
did.
question.
Oh, okay.
I'm a yes vote, although because I was trying to answer the question.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
I wanted to
There
make
you go.
sure.
Yeah.
Couldn't have made it live with
That
that.
didn't get. Okay.
Are we kosher on everything?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is the M99 concrete pavement repair. This is a bid for the MDOT road. We only have one from CD Hughes.
C&D
Who?
First one.
Hughes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they listed out every, because MDOT required, you know, certain things.
Oh,
that, you know, to do certain patches, so they've listed out every one of them for a total of $230,960.64. And so with that being the only bid, I would recommend that this be approved with the contingent that MDOT approves.
Did they give us a start date?
I don't believe we had one, no.
Okay.
No. I didn't put it together, but I was in the building when we were putting it together and
Yeah.
just fits on our schedule, you know.
That'll, and MDOT will.
We did the one
schedule-
last year, it's probably 2-3 days worth of work, so it's not like we're gonna be out there forever when we show up, it's gonna be in and out.
MDOT will normally do and with us, we'll do a pre-con meeting and set all that up.
I was thinking that you guys had done
Yeah.
the project a year ago.
Yeah, we show up with a big crew and get a lot done and get out of there. It's better for the public too.
Oh, sure.
They don't get to see the orange barrel for 4 weeks.
And more than once I've been tempted to hit some of those orange barrels.
I bet.
They can't hit back.
I guess that's all I need. Thank you.
Need a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Kathy?
No, I'm good.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That was the easy one.
That was quick. No time yet for this.
Amy, is it okay, we just start with Stone Cold now? We're ahead of time.
I don't see why we can't, I guess.
Do we need to finish public comment?
We did focus,
I think-
that's
Okay.
that.
We did public comment.
I didn't look there.
Oh,
That's nice, never mind.
We don't have exhibit 1 to go with the resolution.
Exhibit 1, what's exhibit 1?
It's in the resolution.
Did you get one?
It'd be nice if we had exhibit 1.
Well, that would be the one that they approved.
I don't know what it is.
What we do, ask the manager now. What's exhibit 1?
Well, I'm gonna put all of this together that you need. That's just instructions.
Mr. Chairman, I need to be excused to make a
Sure.
trip. Thank you.
You have a motor yet? Find a motor? What are they called?
So,
Papa told me.
okay, so all of you have the resolution to this board. In exhibit 1 per se, that's gonna have the Moscow Township resolution asking this board to take this issue under control or under advisement. Then it's got 2 petitions for the adjoining property owners of the property that's gonna get looked at. And then 7 freestanding property owners of the township had to sign another petition. And then all the drawings and pictures of what's intended to happen. Along with, believe it's even got what I think Stone Code, the township has, I guess, somewhat decided that's what they were gonna do.
Do we have a copy of Moscow?
Yeah, that's coming in the.
Oh,
So what about that exhibit one that Kathy was raising a question about?
They're still working on it.
Here it comes, it's coming. All right, here's exhibit one.
Thank you.
I'll kind of go through it with everybody. Okay, so the first page there, as I was saying, is the resolution from the Moscow Township Board that they approved on the 8th. They had 4 yeses and 1 absent, asking to look at the abandoning and discontinuance, which is an important portion. It's not just abandonment and discontinuance of the northernmost 1,200 feet of Bivens Road, which would be from Moserville south for 1,200 feet. The next page is the notary to the petition itself, where the individual signed the petition. So that's the 7 freestanding residents of the township. And then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next 6 pages are different aerial shots and drawings of what they're proposing. So this one here that has the yellow line on it, that's Moserville Road. And so we're gonna abandon from here down to this fence row, basically. It's the first 1,200 feet. All the residents are south of that area. There's no residents that live on that. Stone Coat owns both sides of the road there. They already mine on the one side. They're asking to abandon that road then so they can mine across the entire thing. This is what it would eventually encompass. That's what they currently have. This is Bivens Road, so they're gonna mine out across into here and make one big lake.
How long is this abandonment for? Is it a permanent thing?
Permanent, there'll be lakes there. All right, after all the drawings and everything are 2 notarized petitions of the property owners, which are one and the same, Stoneco, they own both sides of the road, showing that they're the actual property owners, that they would be abandoned too. The next is just a listing of Stoneco's structure, as to show that the guys that's actually signing these are, in their company and who they are.
People that should be signing it.
Yeah. The last 2 pages are basically just information of what Stoneco, Moscow Township have talked about as them being good partners in the township, as to, what to do about abandoning the road. I don't know if you've come up with anything different, or is that really,
Nothing new.
to me, that's okay. I'll let the questions begin, I guess.
Does the county road have any authority, once this is abandoned, to
No.
go to Stoneco and say, hey, you guys aren't taking care of this properly, or?
Because at that point, like any other abandonment, they get split between the property owners. And so being that they own both sides, they'll be split to both of them, but it's to the same company. So they technically already own to the center of the road now. We have the right of way with Bivens Road of 66 foot, 33 foot from the center of the road to do what we need to do for the road. Once we abandon and discontinue the use of that road, it's no longer ours, it's their private property.
Okay.
Okay, so this map right here. The residence on the west side of the road, is that owned by Stoneco, or is that owned by a private property owner?
Where's that?
South of Mosierville or north?
Are you talking, so
Which map?
this would be this way, so this is north. Which one are you asking for?
So, let me see that one again.
So US 12 runs down here.
Here's upside down because, there you go.
There you go.
Okay,
So the 2 residents that, I think there might be a third one there. Those up here are just residents that are on Mosierville Road.
okay.
And they also, Stoneco owns this other that's yellow up top here. They're already mining that, if not, I don't know if you've done it now, but, so they actually do have a conveyor that goes under Mosierville Road right there that allows them to mine that section out.
I thought Stoneco didn't own north of Mosierville. I thought it was a lease situation.
We don't own it.
Okay.
That's correct.
Well,
It is a lease.
it's highlighted there as far as that's where they're operating from, I guess, so.
Right. So my question is, the parcel they leased, they went under the road to get to and played out very quickly, much quicker than they expected. How do we expect the parcel west of Bivens Road to play out? Because it's not a much larger parcel than the one north. I mean, it's larger, but not a whole bunch.
It's a lot larger.
So what,
Would be
how many acres is north versus east, west?
North, we're only mining 26 acres. We're not mining that whole entire parcel, we're mining 2 small sections.
But that's not what you expected, was it? I thought you expected to mine much more than that.
To the north.
That was my hearsay. My hearsay is that it played out much quicker, or maybe somebody in this room said that, it played out much quicker than you expected. You expected to be busier up there for a longer period of time.
Yeah, some of the what's in the water was not as good as what was expected. But as far as acreage, no.
So how do we know that? So is that same thing gonna happen in this expansion parcel west of Bivens?
No.
And we know that because,
We have drill logs.
You didn't do the drilling on the ones north of Motorville?
We have a few, but we have a lot over here.
You have a lot more.
Yeah.
You did more due diligence, is that what I'm hearing?
And we own this parcel.
So you cared a lot
The
more.
lease parcel,
Okay,
we were only allowed to mine what they allow us to mine.
right. So how long do you think before the new parcel is played out?
West of the
West
river.
of Bivens?
There for many, many years.
Is that 5, is that 10, is that 15, is that 20, is that 30?
Probably 30.
Okay. And 30 years. And how many years have you been in your original 2 ponds?
99, I think.
That's 99, that's about 25 years.
So this chunk west of Bivens Road on this map, how many acres in that parcel?
120.
120. And have you leased some of this parcel that is south of there, between there and 12?
We have an agreement we're working on, yes.
Because when I was down Bivens Road sometime within the last couple of weeks, it looked like there was a healthy chunk of that area.
That's not. That's Weir Farms. We're clearing fence rows and, yeah.
That's you guys, huh?
That's not us.
All right.
You get blamed for it though.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's us.
So again, I guess I'm going back to timeline. Your parcel west of Bivens Road does not look to be as big as your 2 current ponds, and that only took 25 years. Why do you think it's gonna take 30 years to do a smaller area? I'm just trying to get a timeline here.
Well, the plant in the middle of the current parcel, the plant sits in the middle of that
Yeah.
with all the real estate to stockpile.
Sure.
As we go west, everything will be conveyed all the way over to the same spot we're currently at, so. As we dig out of the water, the whole thing can become water, we're not mining around the plant.
And we're still actively mining the East Lake with our dredge, so
We're not anywhere near.
we still have 10 years of dredging, you know, give or take, that East Lake.
And the East Lake would be this one?
Yep.
Alright. So that one's still active, cause I thought, again, my memory, my hearsay, conversations we've had, I thought I was told that these 2 ponds were played out, and that's why we were trying to get moved to here and here.
I mean, it's yes, to some extent, right? So we've added some different equipment that allows us to mine the East Lake differently, as well as, you know, we got leased options to mine out the parcel north of Moserville Road. So, I mean, those leases have timeframes on them. We have obligation with the landlords of those properties. So we have an obligation based on our contract.
Okay. Are you done north of Motorville Road then?
No,
You're not done north of Motorville?
no.
Okay. When you're done north of Motorville Road, will you close up the tunnel you built under the road?
Yep.
Is that what happens?
Yep.
Okay. Gary, are you gonna ask any questions?
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna be quiet and wait for yours.
So, you know, one of the things that, I mean, this has been discussed a little bit here at the road commission off and on for probably the last year.
Yep.
You know, so one of the concerns that at least I have is, you know, setting a precedent here for closing a road. Abandoning a road, you know. Bob, you've been on the road commission a long time. Has this happened in the time you were on the road commission?
Abandoned roads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the reason for abandonment?
One was junk.
Yep.
Church Road,
Church Road.
mile of Church Road, there, nobody lived on it, and there, where you could take a big dumpster out of it, I mean, big dumpster, once a month. They were dumping everything you could think of,
Baker Road.
yeah, Baker Road.
Between Addison and Hill. They burned a car down there. Fortunately, nobody was in it, but
Bob, how much was that church? Was that a full mile? Cause I've been here when that was
Yeah.
done, I
Yeah.
know he was here too. That was a full mile.
full mile. No, half a mile.
So has there been any discussion? I know we had at least one property owner attended our meeting 2 weeks ago. And that property owner indicated they wanted to see the rest of Bivens Road paved as a part of this resolution of this issue. And if I lived on Bivens Road, I'd wanna see it paved too. So has that been a part of the discussion at all?
We haven't held any discussions about paving the road, no.
I thought the last time when Stone Cold was here, that was brought up, and it was said, well, maybe that paving that is not out of the question. Cause my memory is 3 times this is the 3rd time I've been in the presence of Stone Cold. One was on your property, and pretty much you said, yeah, don't like paving. And then Stone Cold was here at one of these meetings, and paving came up again, and the question was, well, paving's not out of the question. So, I don't know where anybody's at on that. That's my memory. My memory isn't always 100%, but that's my memory.
One of the things that concerns me as a road commissioner is, you're asking us to abandon this road. You've offered to do some things, for the benefit of the township, but you haven't offered the road commission anything for abandoning the county road. And you guys are gonna benefit substantially financially from the abandonment of this road.
In the township that the residents and where the road resides and will also benefit from it.
I realize that.
So we've abandoned roads in other counties and most of them have been amicable to leaving the portion of road, right? Because the county reserves the ownership of the road or the easement, right? And it defers to the township when the county abandons the road, right? So ultimately, in how the road commission with the cost sharing basis of how things are managed and maintained, a lot of the cost sharing basis does then transfer to the townships, right? So it does. When you guys go and do a project in a township, there's a cost sharing. Budgeting.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
if we were to do a project on a township road,
yes.
or a local road.
Yeah. So that's how I've experienced these abandonments going. I would say as far as the paving side of the road, I think we look to the residents. We have a couple residents here that live on the road, and some of our conversations with those residents have been, we want a dirt road. So I think it ultimately.
Not these two.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know who you're talking
to. It ultimately, we want to do what's best for the community, And, you know, we've been a great, corporate neighbor, in the community. We've supported a lot of the things that the township does and will continue to do that. There's a large benefit for the end use of this facility to go to the community as well. And the abandonment would increase the recreational use of this in the community as well. We're happy to do a tunnel. We've done it before at Mosherville Road. We understand the process of that. I think everyone loses by doing a tunnel in this case. The township loses, the residents lose, you know, some improvements. So we're presenting this as it is, and if that's turned down because of, you know, the county not getting something out of the deal, I'd be sad to see that. I think this is a local road. This is in Moscow Township. I'd love to see, you know, the township reap the benefits of that, because that's where the road is at.
If you put a tunnel in, let's say you put the tunnel in, put your conveyor on the road, you would probably use Bivens Road.
We would cross it.
Limit, yeah, twice a day. Equipment would cross, you know, yeah, a handful of times a day.
Okay.
Yes.
It won't bear it. It's hardly bearing whatever Weir is doing. It's messed that road up. So we're suspended 20 years, so it won't bear construction traffic.
And you don't really want the conveyors?
No,
You can hear the conveyor from Mosherville, we can hear that.
I don't wanna hear
We hear
that.
it 24 hours a day.
Just want the road
We just
closed.
want the road closed. And, you know, if it's like, if you give us better gravel, which you talked about before, on the one and not pave it, we can live with that. But we do not want a tunnel. And I think we're the ones that's most affected by it. Than any of the
Right there.
other neighbors.
They're the
We're
closest
right there.
neighbor,
We're the
yeah.
closest neighbor. So it's, and Austin's done a lot for us. He's did the berm, put flowers on the berm, and they've cleaned that all up, and they've made it look nice and everything.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in
but
process right now, but it's
It's
looking
a lot
better.
better than what it was.
Yeah, it's a lot better than what it was, and, you know, so, we just want the road closed. And I know a couple of our neighbors right behind us want the road closed too. So, I don't know about some of the ones down on closer to 12, but doesn't affect them, because they're right there on 12.
Right. So what's the board's pleasure?
You don't have any other comment, Gary?
Not at this point.
How about the comment you made at last meeting?
I don't remember.
Well, I remember it. I had some discussion with Bob since then. I'm not sure that I wanna raise that issue now, I guess. I mean, I do hear a couple of residents who are saying, you know, they absolutely don't want a tunnel. They wanna see the road closed. I really still think that Stone Cove ought to ante up some money for the road commission. That's part of my feeling.
I'm not sure we really wanna do that. That could be like a bribe for us to close that road, and I wouldn't want that, anywhere near that.
Of course, you know, and the flip side of that is we're setting a precedent. I mean, what if some big farmer wants to close a section of a road for the convenience of his farm operation?
Which can happen.
Which can't happen, but it's already been done.
Church Road.
Precedent was set long before now, Gary.
Yeah, Church Road.
Church Road and Baker Road.
Both of
Baker
them.
Road was turned back to the farmers on either side. It'd be Norn Stoll and Lake Kill, the lake's gone, but.
So did they request that it be
Yes,
closed?
they requested it, yes.
Where's Baker Road?
Runs between Addison Road and Chandler. It's in Somerset Township.
So it's not really,
It's still a road, but I mean, there's gates at each end of it.
right, it's
That's-
nothing we
It's not a
maintain,
certified road anymore.
we don't maintain it, the road commission does not
No,
maintain
but
it in
it
any
was,
way,
it
shape or
went
form.
back, it went back to the landowners.
It went to the landowners.
Yeah,
And Church Road was the same way.
thing.
Maybe road.
Yeah,
Maybe road.
Part of Maybe Road did too.
Now, kind of my comment that you'd like to hear from me on
All
that
right,
is, yes, it would be setting a precedent or reevaluating a precedent, but it has to be for future, to me, has to be the same scenarios, the same situation.
correct.
If this was a thoroughfare road, like Brown Lake, but it's a bigger road, but if this was a thoroughfare road where somebody's driving down either way, and all of a sudden they get to a spot, they're like, it's abandoned now, they gotta go around the block to get to it, then to keep going, then I say that's not the same situation. This is a 1 mile road that goes from this road to this road. It's not a cut through, it's not a thoroughfare for anybody. To me, that would have to be the same situation if you did it for a farm, 2 farmers or a
That's what
farm.
that was.
If that's not a thoroughfare and they wanna abandon it, and depending on the residents on it, just happens, all the residents are on one end of this, you know, so we don't have to deal with residents on the other half, or it is pretty much a rural road, which a lot of your farms are gonna be too, but to me, that's the criteria you're gonna have to use in the future to say yay or nay to an abandonment and not get caught up in the weeds is the same situation. That's all I'm questioning on.
Well, another concern I have is, so you've got at least a couple of properties on Moserville Road, you know, that, with Bivens Road being open, I think the closest, route for a fire truck to get from Moscow is Bivens Road. And you close Bivens Road and it's another 2 or 3 mile drive to get to those residences with a fire truck.
You gotta go either Moscow Road or Round Lake Road.
Yeah.
I brought that up many meetings ago.
Well, based on where the fire station is, if they went up Moscow Road to Moserville Road, it wouldn't be any longer, because the fire station is east of Moscow Road.
Yeah.
So, again, it shouldn't be any longer than they just run up Moscow Road to Moserville.
It would probably be about a quarter mile-ish, I guess, because you gotta go back to Moscow up and then back that quarter mile to, and then it really doesn't make a difference which way you go.
The
But-
fire station is east of Moscow Road.
So they have to go west to get to Moscow Road.
They have to go west to get to Bivens. That's my point.
No, we need to go east.
It's in between Bivens and.
We had drove that at, I
Oh,
wanna say
right,
it was,
I'm on the
it
wrong
was
side, yep,
approximately
sorry, yep.
26 seconds
Yep, yep,
longer or
yep,
something like that.
yep.
We had-
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a significant, and that's again, that's part of this.
Right.
It's not a significant route around for emergency services.
Yep,
you
yep,
know,
yep.
but-
Sorry about that, I was on the wrong side of Moscow Road, that's right.
And depending on, and that would be for like this resident and everything to the west. This resident is fairly close to Round Lake Road, and I would assume the fire department would take a highway to a paved road to get to a little bit, then go up
I
there.
don't know if they're gonna be going down Bivens Road anyways.
But it's sort of not really good.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a short recess, please. My coffee is calling.
Now, I think one thing that we kind of touched on is you talked about if it happens to be improving the gravel, what exactly are you talking about there? Because there's some tight areas where they go up over the hills, it's already been a grade cut, and you know, there's no place for water to go, there's no place for really anything to go. That's one of the reasons I would I would question paving it, because that whole thing has to be widened out to then be a paved road, because as soon as you pave something, the speeds are going up. You know, that's a 55-mile-an-hour road,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, that's what it is.
I call it a racetrack.
And if you pave it, they're gonna try to do it.
It's a racetrack.
But I guess I haven't seen, when you're referring to approve the gravel, what are we talking?
Yeah, I think.
4, 5, 6 inches?
Yeah, we would
or what?
regrade it, you know, or we would look to the road commission of saying, hey, this is our standards, we'd like it improved to these standards. This is what we've identified as the improvements that would bring this up to a, you know, a good standing gravel or road, you know, in the county.
And so is this something that your company can and would do?
Yes.
So it would be our forces trying to do it, because we're kind of short now, so.
Yeah.
So that would include, like, probably widen out a couple of those
Yep.
hilltops
Yep.
and then, okay, as
Yeah.
long as we can.
Yeah. I mean, we build roads, right? But you guys.
You pave roads too.
Yeah. But you guys, you're the experts of this design and the standards that you hope, you're not incorrect. I mean, there's some old trees there that are well within the right of way, well within the lane
Yeah.
in some instances.
Trees and banks.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we would improve the road.
So in some of that area where you're talking about, you know, doing some improving, is there needs for some ditches as well?
Yes, that's what I was saying, some of those banks have to get moved back, because they're steep right to the road. So those have to get moved back to allow drainage, and then put gravel on top of it, you gotta have it going somewhere.
Yeah.
Some of those trees are significantly too close, you know. So if they're willing to do that kind of thing, we actually came up with if they were to go to a paving type option, a Merle estimate of what it would take to widen it out to a standard road, have your shoulders, have your drainage, have your trees out of the way. And that's pushing a 300,000, and that's paving it.
Yeah.
That'd be pushing a $300,000 cost.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that footprint probably still needs to get done.
Yeah.
And what do you estimate that would cost to do that?
Won't cost us anything.
Widen the road?
Zero.
Put in some ditches, are you thinking maybe half that?
No, it'd be more than half of it. Because to be honest with you, that length of road, the paving portion.
A majority of it is the dirt work.
Yes.
Of that road.
Here, is this what you're looking for?
Yeah.
That's
That
Bob's.
was mine.
So we would take that
Hands
off.
the wrong box.
So probably of that, about close to 200 of it, of the 300, so it probably knocked it down to about 100,000 to do all the earthwork. If we had to hire a contractor to do it, to do all that earthwork kind of thing. Take off all the asphalt and the traffic control devices, all that kind of stuff. Probably wouldn't even put mobilization on it. So that brings it to around the 100,000 mark.
Yep.
So is Stone Cove, can we get that in writing, that you guys would be willing to do that, to upgrade that road?
I think as a part of the agreement with the township, it is a part of that memorandum of understanding with the
So it
township.
says improve it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Wasn't
keep fine.
specific.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
mean,
specific.
I would suggest to the board that there's a conditional approval based on those items, right? Because I don't wanna tell you guys, this is how it needs to be approved. That needs to be, we need to sit at a table and say, hey, this is what we'd like to see. we need to cut these grades to 3% and, you know, we need to establish, you know, a 2-foot deep ditch on either side of the road, or, you know, we need to define that, right, with you guys, or with the manager, you know, but I would like to see that, and we're more than happy to do that.
I think if we can get that in writing, then I'd be willing to vote for this.
Well, I don't wanna step on your toes, cause this is the board's decision. I'm just trying to get information both ways. I guess I would still like to hear from the ladies if you have anything.
Oh, we've already
We've said many times over.
I know,
Everybody's heard all of us,
But
but upgrading the road would be fine with us and not paving it. Because like they said, some of these young kids will try to make it a racetrack.
Only till they get to the end.
Only till they get to the end, and there's no place to go.
that'd be a burden.
They only do it one time.
Start in, they go swimming.
Been there,
We don't
done
need a
that.
Dukes of Hazzard
Yeah.
situation.
So,
Been there, done that.
yeah. And if you're willing to do it, if you get it in writing, which they sound like they're willing to
I
do.
think if they just put in and bring it up to our standards.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit to the county.
They're
doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the township did the resolution, so I gotta assume the township's on board.
Yeah, the township, we did the resolution, it was a unanimous decision. My comments are that if Stoneko is forced to go under Bibbins Road, the road commission will see an increase in the maintenance of Bibbins Road because of additional traffic, cross traffic. I think you'll see a detriment there. You're already seeing it on Motorville Road. I feel it's important to close Bibbins Road off for the safety and the welfare of the people that live on Bibbins Road, just from the noise and the dust and dirt. I expressed in the resolution that there'd be 2 openings in the barrier wall, or buffer wall, whatever they call it. Actually, there'll be 4 openings in that buffer wall, 1 on each side of Bibbins Road, and 1 on each end of Bibbins Road. So there'll be very little protection from the dust and the dirt because of that, and the noise.
If it was a tunnel.
Because of the tunnel. Well, I think it's extremely important to close Bibbins Road off for the safety and welfare of the people, without any other consideration. We do need the specifics on the upgrade of the road, and I think that sounds like it's gonna be an easy thing to get. There are some other things, I've got some questions I know of more specific with them, but I'll deal with them on that later. But, I don't see an issue. I think it's to the benefit. I mean, personally, I'm a gawker too. I've been down those roads, both of them, a lot more than I do normally. And I'm sure they're probably seeing a 50 or 100% increase in traffic right now. I would say that, it's just.
Yeah, it's like not even legal vehicles, like wheelers up and
Wheelers,
down.
four-wheelers
You know,
up and down, yeah.
I think it's absolutely important that road be closed off, personally.
You decide this today?
You have 20 days for this petition from when they submitted it.
Can we get a document that states that Stone Coal will upgrade the road that we could put with this?
I'm sure we can, yeah. It might take a few, next week, but
Our
we
next
could do it
meeting,
contingent on them signing or, give us that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Conditional approval, right?
I bet our next meeting is within 20 days.
Well, it's 3 weeks from today, isn't it?
I don't know, is it? I can't see.
Isn't it?
Well, hold on.
Yeah, I think it's the 12th.
It's 20 days from when they submitted the petition.
You guys did that, what?
And so this is signed on the 20th. So it'll be on the 40th.
We could hold a special meeting if we need to.
I think if we did it with, that they'd have to include that we're gonna bring out statement, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah, it's within our best interest to get it,
Right.
get a resolution
Get it
with
done.
the board as quick as we possibly can, so the closer we get to everyone on the same page, the more clear it is for everybody, so. I mean, I think we can meet that deadline if there's a conditional approval today. You know, we'll sit down with the road commissioner and see what we need to do, right? We're just as invested into this as everybody else, so.
I would move that we adopt the resolution for the abandonment of Bivens Road.
Please make sure it addresses abandonment and discontinuance.
Abandonment and discontinuance of the, I'll just say resolution number 25-004, that pretty much covers it. On the condition that we have a agreement for the improvement of Bivens, the remaining section of Bivens Road.
And the Stone Cold, they'll pick up the cost of that. You know, and maybe they even do it or contract with somebody else. Yeah, we really prefer that, because we're already taxed to the limit.
You second that?
Yep.
Any discussion, Kathy?
I think this needs to be a roll call vote.
I have discussion. My discussion is I'm concerned that Moscow doesn't have in writing what they need in writing. If this goes through, it won't happen. Again, hearsay tells me that there was supposed to be a well done for Moscow Township before for the fire department, and it wasn't done. That's hearsay. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard there was discussion for another well this time. You know, what's the guarantee it's gonna be completed? And again, I'm a road commissioner, so it's really not my bailiwick. It's just I hear a whole lot of noise. So.
The well before there was the Moscow Township Fire Department was supposed to be getting a grant for the pump. The grant never happened. We were supplying the station and the piping.
To the water.
To the water.
Yeah.
They did not get the grant for the pump. Well, this time it's in the resolution there for Moscow Township.
Well, my concern is that it will fall by the wayside because something doesn't happen again. So, and again, this is a township issue, it's not my issue, I guess I'm just making the noise. So.
I think the township, after you make your approval, still is the township's has final say.
Yep.
I think we still have final say on it.
Okay.
Those
It is in
details,
the resolution.
those
Okay.
details will be ironed out.
Well, again, I was at the Moscow meeting, there was a whole lot of conversation, and somewhere along the line, I was told that this well should have happened already, and it did not.
I didn't understand that.
Okay, but again, this is, I'm sure one of the citizens were talking to me about it, so that's the reason I bring it up. So.
The original was a petition to the township, had a couple gray areas on it, and one of them was the condition of Bivens Road, and the other was the water supply. And we need to work that out yet. And like I said, the township still has, after your action here, the township still has final right to approval. And there's just a couple of little gray areas that need to be specified.
Okay. And is the township satisfied as to why they're not gonna get a royalty fee on the gravel coming out, given that Stone Cove pays that to other townships that they have gravel pits in?
I've had that discussion with Stone Cold several times, and I feel comfortable with it. Yeah.
Is Stone Cove gonna go on public record as why Moscow Township doesn't get to have a royalty where other townships do?
It's,
That's a sign we need to vote.
I'm sorry, what's the question again, Kathy?
My question is my understanding is the Stone Cove pays a royalty fee to other townships where there are other gravel pits. Moscow Township does not receive any royalty fee at all.
Because those townships have zoning ordinances that have impact fees to that township.
So just because Moscow Township doesn't have a zoning ordinance, they're not as deserving of a royalty fee?
That's what the citizens decided when they decided to vote to be an unzoned township.
Again, when you, in my opinion,
I don't see how that has anything to do with voting to abandon Bivens Road right now. If you wanna have a conversation with me offline and have that discussion, I'd be open to explaining how different municipalities have different zoning ordinances and or how counties operate.
Well, I know a little bit about how counties operate, I understand about zoning, I also understand that citizens have the right to be treated fairly regardless if there's a zoning or not. And when I read in here that you wanna be a good corporate citizen, part of being a good corporate citizen is doing the right thing by Moscow Township residents.
Taking care of the neighbors and being a good corporate neighbor and doing the right things, which we've all stood behind since we've operated there.
And again, other townships are deserving of a
So-
royalty fee, but Moscow isn't. That's what it looks like to me.
We are compensating the township for the reserves that we have measured in those setback areas. That's what the dollar amount amounts to on the record. It is essentially a royalty. That's what we agreed to with the township, a part of the agreements of, you know, bringing this whole issue up. It's one and the same, right? The risk with doing a royalty situation is in other places, right? We pay for you what we take. We may not get all the material in between those two roads. Guess what? We're guaranteeing them with the figure that we've calculated.
Mr. Chairman, I call for question. We have a vote for a motion made and seconded. I call for a vote.
Roll call.
Gary Lanier,
Yes.
Mike Pardon,
Yes.
Kevin Smith,
No,
Mark Ham,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Let's see, is there more public comment? We only had a little split time on it. Anybody? No? Okay.
See you guys.
Take your, well, manager's comments.
I guess I better keep this short.
Yeah, you better keep this really short.
All right, as far as the crews out there, we're still doing some tree work on, and it's basically we're down to the pulling the stumps and calling the stumps off to some of the projects that were from the 23 and 24 project years. So they're on Riker Road, the stumps have been pulled, we're just working on removing them, so we're using the new trailer that was purchased and hauling away with that. They're also doing some tree trimming, not cutting the trees, on Bird Lake Road and in Beecher Road. Most of that's complete, and we're down to pulling the stumps again for there, but we physically have to still pull the stumps there and then haul them off. We're trimming the trees on Blackbridge Road, which again, basically looks like all of them are complete, we're just worried about the stumps. We're hauling them to one of our pits, dumping them into pits, and then one of our bulldozers will push them off the edge, and that's the other. We started scraping the brine in Camden Road, or on Camden Township. Well, we kind of had to slow down and stop during all this rainy weather. They can't really scrape and or brine during this. So as soon as it dries up, hopefully next week, we'll be able to go back to the grading. We basically have Camden, Reading, Allen, Litchfield, and part of Scipio graded and ready. Camden and Reading have been sprayed, and they're trying to move into Allen. Oh no, yes, Allen.
So Camden and Reading, the dust control has been put on,
Has
those
been done.
2 units already.
Yep.
Okay. When
Um,
you first started there, I thought you were telling me that we just nicely got started in Camden and had to put everything on hold. So-
no, we did get Camden and Reading scraped and brined, and they've scraped Allen, Litchfield, and then the Scipio doing the scraping prior. We might have to go back and cut some of them up because of the rain, but we'll go right in front of them and scratch them up, and they'll keep brining.
So they've been to Allen, Litchfield, and now they're into Scipio?
Yep. Let's see, our state crews have been working on scraping the shoulders. As soon as they get the shoulders scraped like they would normally do for maintenance, we'll add some gravel anywhere they're low. And so that's what the state guys are working on. Of course, we got guys out coal patching, and we started limestone and gravel patching, and so basically what we're doing is like, they'll be like in Reading or Camden and Reading, and as the graders go around, the brine goes around, we'll go right around behind them, trying to catch up with the gravel or limestone, whichever they're using. And then wherever needed, we would use the little tanker that we purchased to go back and respot brine those areas so they're not dusty. Let's see, for some of Heather's updates, we've made most of the revisions that they were asking for on the Elm Road Bridge. We still have a couple more to do, but Charlie's working on getting those plans so that we can hopefully see some movement on that soon again. Buckeye Road west of Bird Lake, and the culvert in Somerset Road north of Stewart structure. We have one more proposal that we're waiting to get in from a consultant. Once we receive it, we'll compare the proposals and choose, which engineering firm we need to go with for those two structures. The Territorial Road culvert replacement. We've got all the permits in place now from both MDOT and ODOT to run the detour route for around that. We're planning to do that culvert between the 16th of June and 11th of July. So hopefully we can get that in and get it out and get it done. We got to schedule the crane and delivery of the tube at the exact same time so that the crane can meet the truck, put it in place, and keep going. Frontier Road south of Burt Road for that culvert. That's where we're starting to work with the drain commissioner on that as to what needs to take place there. So we're trying to work that out with Matt Ward. The federal aid, 2024 federal aid that are getting done this year, the Camden Road between Pittsburgh and Tripp. The base course we keyed it out a week or two ago. The base course was completed on Monday. Michigan Paving will be back in early June, to complete the top 2-inch course. Then do gravel shoulders, replace monuments, and do the pavement arches.
Well, the shoulders, will we do that or they will?
They will.
They will, okay.
This is all a
Contract.
contracted
Okay.
process. Let's see, the 2025 federal aid projects. We're still waiting on Lakeland Asphalt to give us a time to schedule a pre-con meeting. Then we'll move forward with that. The completion date for that is the 16th of August.
Which road was that?
That's Concord, Herring, and Jonesville.
Okay.
It's like a 2-mile stretch of each one. I think Herring's like 1.5 miles or something like that. That's the entire stretch. So we'll do a pre-con with Lakeland on that and move forward. We got from our engineering firm, Scott Civil, that does our bridge inspections. There's a lot of maintenance type of work, and a lot of it has to do with concrete with the bridges. So sometimes a bridge, I think you might have talked about a bridge abutment that had been hit. And
that on Bankers,
yeah,
on Bankers Road.
So all those, we got a bunch of them around. We got a whole spreadsheet of them.
Is that something we'll contract?
Oh, definitely, yes, cause we don't do the contract or the concrete.
That's right, you don't mix concrete.
So right now, we've got the Albright contractors out of Angola. They're the ones that have done apparently the maintenance on our bridges ever since
For years and years and years.
way back into Stan. They're the only ones that even give us a quote on it. So total is to get all the deficiencies on the bridges done, it's gonna be just a hair over $30,000. However, we're splitting it up into per structure, so that we'll start cherry picking off the worst structures that need to get done, and we'll do a structure as we go and just continue on. I think the highest one is on Lilac Road, west of Cambria. That one's about a $7,500 repair for that structure, and then it kind of goes down from there. So our plan is to, like I said, start picking off these and get through all these deficiencies that we gotta fix on the bridges. Let's see, for our 2025 primary road repairs, which is mainly paver patching, we're gonna have to go out and do a bunch of paver patches around on the primaries. Originally, I'd asked them to look at trying to do about 9,000 tons of asphalt, but that's gonna be pushing about 700,000 to do that. So I told them, well, let's back up, regroup, cut that down to 600 to 6,500 tons. That brings it down to about 500,000. And so they're in the process of, we have a whole list of the roads that if we wind up seeing that the cash flow is good, we may go ahead and do the 9,000. But until we see how we're flowing, putting out money, they're gonna take off a few roads. We'll get them paved, see where we stand. If we keep going with them, we will, but that's where we sit with our primary roads. We'll still do all the local road paver patch contracts that we've got. Looks like there's about 7 of them that have paver patch, and then 5 of those also get chip sealed. So we'll get all those done, and then on top of that, we'll do the primary. Then we got quite a few that just have the chip seal for the local roads. So I want to say there's about 25 miles worth of chip seal total. And that's about where we're at with those projects. This is just kind of just to show you, I had them start making up a Gantt chart to basically show what our projects are, what the time frame is, and so like this spot here is where we're gonna be tight on people and you have to get one project done, so it doesn't overlap. And so as we start filling in projects, we'll be able to see exactly where our choke points are and be able to work around some of those. To include like MDOT closures and, drain commissioner closures and stuff like that, we'll be able to schedule them all in there so we're not all trying to work on the same area at the same time and close people off. Just so you know. Already done all that. Other than that, the new safety manager, I've got him starting to work on quite a few different things, but he's starting to line up things for the safety day, which will actually be in the fall. But it takes a while to get some of the vendors lined up and, speakers and trainers and all that. So he's working on that to start that. I think he's doing good at, filling in that new position, and I think you do well.
What's his name?
Jeff Maxon. He's one of the drivers that used to be over there. He's got a pretty good rapport with the guys that I can see. He's been out working with the crews. Specifically some of the tree crews and stuff, because that's one that he used to kind of do that, and that's one of our more dangerous things anyway, so, he's been out, you know, just working and helping and watching what they're doing and what can be done safer if need be, and so I think he's fitting in well. So, as you can see, Katie's not here today. Katie and Janet went to the Finance and HR conference. So hopefully they get some good information there. I don't know if I have a whole lot else.
I got one
Any
item.
questions for you?
I got one item at Somerset. They were talking about Vickery Road, as usual. And I drove it on my way back from Jackson the other day, and I found one pothole on the Hillsdale section.
The section that Jackson controls is worse. Every time I get a call, I forward that straight to him, and I call the director of operations every time saying, gotta get somebody out here. You know,
I talked to the supervisor at the meeting, and I said, you know, Jackson takes care of the east end of that, and he said he did, he knew that. But just on my way home from Jackson, I went down Vickery Road.
Yes.
There is one pothole, just before Patch Road, I think, in the intersection. Looked like you might be able to dump a 5-gallon pail in it. Other than that, nobody's complaining for today anyways.
Fayette Township, Genesee Road.
Okay, so.
My background is I was at the township meeting and they talked about not paying for the gravel that you put on there.
Well, that's not an option.
Well, again, I'm just, and then.
No, I talked with Nate.
Okay.
And we're looking at, they've got a couple of low spots that are still soft, and we've talked to them all along, said that we'll keep them scraped up, we'll keep working on them to get them firmed up. I told them we will bring out some of the crushed stone that we had done, so it's not like gravel, it's just the crushed stone that has a little bit of fines in it. We're gonna put that in those lower soft spots, and then they're looking at, on top of that, buying some limestone and capping that with limestone. And at that point, it should settle everything down.
Okay, part of that discussion is I thought that bill was only for half of the gravel, not all of the gravel.
That was their, and I forwarded that to him also, that was their thought, because, and I think on the contract, it might have had a cubic yard, not tons. It's 2250, which is tonnage for 1,500 cubic yards, but somebody left might be me, left cubic yard on there, but the cost adds out to the cost of ton, 2280. And so I sent him all the figures and everything. We wound up putting, instead of, I guess it was 2,500 cubic yard, which would be tonnage. We actually put on 2,700. So we actually put on 200 ton more than what the contract was calling for by price. And he seemed to be okay with that.
Okay.
And he understood that.
Okay. Okay.
So we've really used all what they budgeted.
Right.
We used in gravel,
Right.
and it's on the roads.
Right. And so they're gonna contract with somebody else to put the limestone on?
Well, us.
Well, cause they had Sparks there.
No.
And they were talking about maybe
they-
doing something, Sparks doing something on that road.
No, they cannot.
Did he talk to you about that?
Yeah, but I told him,
Okay.
that all go through us, so.
Okay, all right. Well, again, I'm just trying to, based on what I know, what do you know?
So really all that, and I said, we will do another, if you'd like, we'll do another contract specifically for limestone.
Okay.
We can even put it where you want it,
Right.
not over the whole thing, but on those soft spots.
Right.
And he seemed to be okay, was gonna go back to the board and
Okay,
ask them or talk to them about it.
okay. All right,
That was just like yesterday, the day before, that I was talking to him.
okay. The other comment that was made was the accident with the teenagers where one didn't make it. My understanding that was on Bun Road and Genesee Road. And the comment was made that that was washboard, and whether the county should have, or were they out there doing whatever we needed to do to that road. Now again, I didn't drive down the road, I don't know,
So
what do you know?
the state speed limit law is 55 miles an hour on a gravel road or what the road can handle.
Right?
If it's pothole, washboarded, whatever, because gravel roads can change so much,
Right?
they have to adjust their speed. It's not automatically 55. And so just because a gravel road's washboarded, to me, does not put anything on us. We're totally,
Okay, so we may not have liability, but have we looked at the road and did we do anything to it to improve it, or should we have, or
we have, but
since the accident?
yes.
Okay,
Because actually, that's actually part of where we're grading, for
Okay.
Brian. So
okay,
it has been graded.
okay. All right, and then the other comment that was made at that meeting is that, one of the trustees seemed to think that, the road commission was not doing any cold patching in their township, and I assured him that that was not the case. So I hope that that is a true statement.
We cold patch everywhere, and especially anywhere they got a complaint. If they got a service request called in,
Right.
they get sent out to them. And then, when the seasonals come in, that is one of the guys, he does nothing but patch. And he does a really good job at it, but,
Okay,
yes.
Alright. Well,
Every
that's what I
township
told him,
gets
is
their
that
fair share.
yes, that we were not, the road commission would not exclude any township from cold patching.
You need to copy that and take it with you to township meetings.
Okay.
But please give me my copy back,
Alright,
so I don't have to do it again.
let's put it right there so we can get a copy.
Okay.
There you go. Cause if I get it messed up with my stuff,
You get it, yours.
yes.
This is right out of the manual they gave me when I worked at MDOT. It says, under this definition, motorists can expect some inconveniences and will be expected to modify their driving practices to suit road conditions. This is supported by the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code, section 627-1, which states, a person driving a vehicle on a highway shall drive at a careful and prudent speed not greater than nor less than is reasonable and proper, having due regard to the traffic, surface, and width of the highway and any other condition that exists.
Okay.
Pretty clear.
And that's pretty much tells the story.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anybody else?
No,
I'm slipping, I don't have any questions.
I'm disappointed, Jerry.
come on now, you gotta think of
Is
something.
there any old business?
Oh, there's only old business.
I'm old, but. All right, new business, township contracts, Sheffield, Fayette, Amboy, and Adams. I think you got a copy, I'm not gonna read the whole thing.
And I do have on the Amboy crushed stone, 2250 tons on various roads. The contract they signed, they crossed out and wrote in crushed stone. And so I contacted them and said, we can't just cross things out, write things in, because there's different prices for everything.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the township supervisor, and I guess it's the clerk, and told him that the crushed stone is actually, the contract is for $10 a ton for 22A road gravel, and the crushed stone is actually $11.65.
So these prices reflect the new,
Well, yes, because they wrote it in, but where they wrote in, that, sorry, no, let me get it. So I got an email from them saying that they approve using the $11.65 cost for the crushed stone.
and is
So
that,
that's from Betty Burkhart, that I got an email from.
so does that come out to the 26,1250?
No, we'll have to take the 2250 and multiply that by 1165, and that's what they're.
And they're aware that's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's what I said, she sent an email from the township. If you guys would like to use that, I'm fine with that, it depends on you. Other than that, it would push it to another meeting to,
Well, in our agenda, first of all, you haven't addressed our agenda being wrong on Amboy crushed stone. Shouldn't the 66,712 be in the estimated cost and the 26,212 be in the township share?
yes.
Which still doesn't agree with the contract that was sent to us in email. I mean, he would have the real, Bob has all the contracts, but I did pull up the email to see it, and those numbers don't agree,
So,
even to it.
You're talking about Amber.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't even agree on this one.
Amboy, yeah, because, here it's 63,900 and 22,500.
so that is based on the crushed stone.
That's based on crushed stone.
So the
Okay.
26,212.50 is 1165 times 22.50. So that's the crushed stone price, and then it's that 66 is also the just adding that additional part onto the 63 that's on the contract.
So the total
Comes out to the 66,712.50.
I thought crushed stone was a whole lot more money than gravel.
crushed stone.
Limestone.
Not limestone.
Oh,
Limestone.
thank you for, yes,
Yeah.
all right, very good.
Yes, limestone is
okay.
expensive.
Limestone
That's
is
where
expensive,
we
but
talked
crushed
to
stone
Amboy
is
about
not
the
that much more
slag
than gravel.
versus the crushed
Okay.
stone, and they,
Bob,
Yeah.
do we just wanna redo this and we'll approve it at another meeting?
We can, because to be honest with you, by the time we get to Amboy on the grading and brining, it'll be that long.
and is the Adams,
I think we better.
the Adams one is correct?
The Adams one's just reversed again.
Right,
The numbers are right, they're just reversed on
right, the numbers are right, it just needs to be one needs to be the other.
So we'll
Is that
hold
what
on.
it is on the signed one for Adams?
One second. I don't have one for Adams.
You sent one?
You should have, I got a copy here.
I've got Amboy, they have,
You got it
Scipio.
for Adams.
Yeah, so it's 43.7 for the township and 62.7 for the town.
Total project.
Yep.
Okay, that is right.
No, that's yours. I don't have Adams.
It was in the email.
Yeah. I guess we could do that one.
Is that the original?
No. That's Bob's copy.
What's the original?
That's yours, sorry. A lot of papers.
Yep.
So we got everything straight? Somewhat? Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Alright.
Did we have a motion on the contract?
Not yet.
No, Mike made it,
Mike made
yes.
a motion.
Oh, you made a
Did
motion?
somebody support it?
So let's do
Support, excluding Amboy.
Excluding
Yeah,
that
we're
one.
not doing Amboy. Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye, there.
Opposed, the same. Alright, I still gotta sign this one.
So, Bob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Either Bob, any idea how long we may be in a closed session?
I guess.
It could be a while.
Yes, because just so you know, we've got a TA. So we would probably want to go through the entire contract.
The reason I ask is I have an appointment to meet somebody at 12:30. I can come back, I won't be gone long, but I need to keep this appointment,
It'll be fine.
so. And I did think of a question regarding your report.
Not now.
Sellers Road, Lake Diane.
Yeah.
All right. I'm surprised I didn't miss that one. So, Lane called me the other day and says, I got the grading done. I'm like, okay, I'll come out and take a look at it. I came out and he had scratched the top off of the hill. So I said, we went and met with him. I said, nope, point blank, scuffed out in the dirt saying, 8 to 10 foot off the road, it has to slope away from the road, all the way around that corner. Apparently he didn't understand me the first time. And so he's like, okay, I'll get right on that. Well, as he started, we drove away and he went to go get his equipment, then it started raining again. So he still says he will get it done as soon as possible here. And I said, okay, but we won't do anything else with my carload until that's done. He understood it. He's never been, argumentative or anything like that. Weather's kind of messed us up on this, but I've made it point blank clear that we won't do anything else until that's done. And he's got the equipment out there, and he tried the other day, I guess, but he didn't understand what I was telling him. So I think we're all on the same page. I assume he'll be this weekend or beginning of next week. We'll get another call to come out there and take a look at it. Actually, the road for North Diane, is it North Diane? That's actually okay. There's like a very small spot up by the intersection that will have to get incorporated in with cellars to guide the water around there. But the rest of the road edge on Diane is fine. It's actually starting to grow in with grass. But cellars has to be resloped, and he was okay with that. Oh, I do have one more thing. Sorry. Not a big thing, but we got the letter, if anybody's interested in being a trustee for the crisis board.
No.
This is how you go about applying for one of the positions, or for the election. Would anybody like to sign?
So,
And that's it.
Thanks, but no thanks.
We don't want to have you miss out on an opportunity.
Well, thank you, Bob, we appreciate that.
where am I at for going to work? I'm late now, but
We're gonna go in closed session, but
you need me here for the whole session?
not really.
Have to be.
I might
Because when it comes down to it,
I might not get
we're
it.
prepping the final TA with the lawyers to send it to the union. They're gonna have to set up a meeting, discuss it with their guys and vote on it. If they pass it, then it comes back to you for you to vote on it.
Yeah, we still
So
have.
it's still quite a bit down the road.
Make a copy of it.
Absolutely.
Want to take a little break before we go in closed session?
Right.
We could use the motion to recess and go into closed session
And I move that we recess and go to closed session
for negotiations.
for negotiations, yes. I
Support.
remember that.
Roll call.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Dodd.
Yes. Okay, we got any more? We got public comment, we got no public. So,
Move we adjourn.
Support.
all in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Aye.